Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff Mosher and Adam Caplan here with our second part of our 53-man roster projection series. We obviously did the offense earlier this week. We'll finish off trying our best to predict the defensive side of the roster. And then we'll also finish off our analytics series on defensive, on the rookie draft class, the first 4 picks. And it just so happens to be that these 2 players are going to be the defense, the 3rd and 4th round pick, Milton Williams, Zech McPhearson. Make sure you check out our last podcast where we had a deep analytical dive into the 1st and 2nd round picks, both from Alabama, Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson. Adam, it's, I look forward to doing this. I want to tell everybody, I really enjoyed our ITB TV that we did this week. If people haven't seen it, with Les Bowen, a little bit like kind of how we did with Derek Gunn several months ago when he was out at Comcast and he wanted to, we talked to him about the changing state of the media landscape and what it's like covering a team now as opposed to years ago. And Les just had some really good insight. Obviously, a lot of things are changing at the Inquirer with their sports editor and with their staff and personnel, and Les talking about just time for him to kind of step aside because it doesn't sound like he gets a chance to do what he used to do. And that's really what this industry has been all about. Look at what you and I are doing right now. And we're fortunate to be successful with it, but I'm sure 5 years ago, we never thought we'd be doing this.
No, I didn't. Look, the ever changing media landscape is less talked about. And we appreciate, we were the first ones to get him. We talked to him, I guess Monday. Mm-hmm. So we were appreciative to be able to talk to him. And we've known him forever. As I was telling Les on that show, I missed those nights. It was me, him, and Damo. We had a tradition at the Combine. We would go to the Weber Grill. And the funny story on there was that I would walk by there for years, and I thought it was a joke. I'm like, there's just no, Weber Grill doesn't have a restaurant. one time, you've seen it there. It's right on the corner. You literally could, go ahead.
Yeah, I said, of course, but I don't think I've actually ever eaten in the Weber
Grill.
Eaten?
Oh,
I may not have.
Oh, here's what happened. So it's on folks. If you've never been to downtown Indy, you literally cannot get lost. You don't need a car. I don't know names of streets. I just know where I'm going because I've been there for 18 or 19 years. I know where everything is. So the Weber Grill's in the middle of town. And at one time I said, you know what? I'm just going to go in there as a joke just to see what it is. Do they sell grill? What are they doing in here? And it's a beautiful restaurant. I see the menu. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? Why the hell did I go in for years?
Right.
So I went in, and even when I don't go with friends, I would just go eat by myself because the food is so good and I can get a vegetarian meal there. And so anyway, it would be me, Damo, and Les. Then a couple of years at ESPN, I brought our producers there and some of the guys I work with, and we I'm not joking. There was like a booth, like a round booth. There were 8 of us in a round booth. I was like eating like this. If you're seeing on YouTube, could have done that. They were teasing me. They're like, "Come on, dude, you can't get a better table than this."
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, as we saw reports come out, the Combine might be moving out of Indianapolis after 2023. That does not make me happy.
No, it's.
I love Indianapolis.
LA.
LA.
What I'd heard is they want to move it near NFL Network. We'll see, but they're opening up to any town, really.
Right.
So 22 is going to be the last year it's their last year that we know under contract. Their contract ends after 22. So hopefully they keep it there. We'll see.
Hard to see a city like Indianapolis making a competitive bid against a real big market city that just has billions of dollars to throw, but we'll see where it is. I liked it in the middle of the country. I think it's fair.
Exactly.
I think it makes more sense, but obviously if you're trying to make more dollars than sense, then you would move it to a bigger market.
Same flight every year. I would leave Tuesday at 10 a.m. on US Air, which is now American. I take the 10 or 11 a.m. flight.
Right.
You go front office, half of them would be on there. And some of the reporters will be on there and some of the coaches. And cramped, as you know, Geoff, it's the same one you would take to the Senior Bowl. It's always that little 50-seat or 60-seater,
the Airbus or whatever they were called.
No, the Airbus is a big one. No,
that's right.
The little cramp one. Yep. And it's got American's name on it, but it's by like Piedmont Airlines is the one who's running it or something.
Little puddle jumper, as they call
it. Exactly. That's it.
All right, check out Q&A because I actually think this is one of the best Q&As ever recorded. They touched on a lot of subjects. They opened up talking about, and Jason was pretty hardcore on this on because Ben Simmons's downfall has kind of been compared to Carson Wentz's as far as dealing with the pressure and other things like that. And Jason and both Quentin and Jason talked about mental health issues impacting athletes, but also had different opinions, I think, on whether or not it's truly comparable, the situations between Carson Wentz and what Ben Simmons is going through. Also, really good stuff on, they addressed, and this was a great question they were asked, just the idea about playing tackle football at too early of an age. In some states like Texas, you can start doing it at 4 or 5. So they had some really interesting insight into that. And also, Jason was asked to reflect on the time that he had to be a team leader and kind of be the public face of a very ugly incident with the team involving Riley Cooper and the racial slur. And if you just spend the time to listen to Jason really open up on why he was among a small group of African-American players who came out, including D'Amico Ryans and Michael Vick, to support the team and to support Riley Cooper, and how it has always, it's not like it just happened and it's in the past. Jason has thought about it a lot since and wondered if he'd do the same thing if he had to go through the situation again. So I really encourage people to check that out. And Quentin did a good job of dispelling what people might think about an average day during the season for the Eagles players. I think fans, because reporters only report what happens in practice, tend to think that, players show up to the NovaCare, they practice, they may have a meeting or two and then go home. And they don't realize that it is a 7 a.m. till sometimes past 5, 6, or 7 p.m. type of job, depending on, who's staying around. But it's a lot more hours at the complex than people might think. So those are really 4, and there were other things they talked about, but 4 topics where you got something that you're just not going to get anywhere else. So I really encourage everybody to check out Q&A this week. It really was one of the best ones I think they've ever done, just because of how they expanded on so many different topics and really gave a player's perspective that nobody else can give other than those who played the game. And then those who played it and are comfortable articulating how they feel about it and put it in good terms the way those 2 guys did. So,
and this is why we didn't want a half an hour pod. We learned when we were starting to do this, you don't want to ever limit yourself. If you want to just give your thoughts, and people want to see it. I mean, look at the comments on YouTube.
Yeah,
they're just so strong in support, and fans love the show. They're in love with the show. I mean, it's the connection that the fans have to, I get they're former players, but it's more than that. The guys are willing to put everything out there, and not a lot of players are willing to do that. Some guys they don't want to, they just go halfway, but the guys put it all out there, and it's really remarkable how far their show has come in such a short period of time. It's we love that the fans have connected like they have, and if they want them to do another show like per week, but I'm thinking, how much more could they do? They're putting it all on show.
Well, I think we're going to get them involved even more coming.
We got something
coming up soon. So we'll have some announcements on Q&A at the right time.
Sure.
And as you mentioned, things that fans love. Our fans love Greg Cosell, so we're happy to say he's going to come back on with us. We're going to do what we did last year, which was a 4-part podcast series, where each pod analyzes an NFC East team. So we're going to bring in Greg Cosell, and he's going to help us break down from a tape study standpoint, from all the moves of transactions. We're going to break down Washington, New York, Dallas, Philadelphia in 4 separate pods coming up over the next week or two, to really get us ready to get into training camp and know what this division's like and know what the Eagles are going to be facing up against.
Yep. So the first one will drop this coming Monday, then Thursday, then Monday, then Thursday. And we're going to go offensive, defensive schemes, coaching changes. As Geoff said, transactions. You're going to get each team soup to nuts, only like Cosell can do it, and only like he can do with us. So
yes,
do not miss this. This is some of our favorite stuff. And the feedback we got for the last year's series, I remember thinking, oh boy, if we don't do them, they'll probably like beat us up or something. So we better do it.
Yes,
folks,
definitely.
We're doing it. Yes, that we the traffic we got last year, and the thing is, because it brings in non-Eagles traffic, which is always good for the growth of our show. So
right,
we appreciate it, and we appreciate having Greg and Quentin and Jason involved in our family here. It's growing, folks. We'll have some announcements over the next couple of months.
Definitely looking forward to that. All right, let's get into the as you said, the nuts and bolts of the pod. First, don't be a loser. Stop paying full retail price for things you want. Get on Deal Dash. You go to DealDash.com or you download the app. Register. Use the promo code ITB. you'll get a special offer for some bonus free bids. All right, Adam, we're going to take a look at the defense here, which is, it can be tricky in some positions. As we did want to go over a few transactions. I forgot about the Eagles waiving Trevon Grimes, the rookie free agent wide receiver, off IR with an injury settlement. So what happens from here?
Yeah, so I had some questions on Twitter about this. So let me just explain what happened. So the reason why they did this now instead of doing it later is because they know he'll be able to come back. This is not like a 4-month rehab from his knee surgery. He should be back. I don't know when in August, but I believe he'll be available in August at some point. But with an injury settlement, he cannot come back before the agreed upon time. Even if physically he's ready to go, he cannot come back until the agreed time. That's just the way the rules are. So let's say the settlement's for 8 weeks. He's ready in 6. He cannot come back before 8 weeks, no matter what happens.
Right.
The Eagles gave him fully guaranteed money, so they have an interest in bringing him back to give him a look. So hopefully he can get on the practice field in August and they could assess him before they set the 53. Not in terms of making the team. It's just to see if they want to have him in the practice squad. Now, if he does come back in August and he looks great, okay, then maybe right now, Geoff, as we've said, and you'll hear this on the previous show, the Eagles only have 4 receivers they know are going to make the team. The 5th job is wide open.
Right.
For anybody. So that's right. Where this thing is with Trevon Grimes.
So I know what's going to happen is that he's going to come back in August and start practicing, and people are going to be like, oh, watch out for Trevon Grimes. But think about how difficult it will be for him to have missed so much time by the time he does get back, as you're getting closer to the season, as the Eagles have been working with all their other wide receivers. This to me, he was already kind of a long shot, despite what people were saying, for him to make the team. But this makes it even harder. I think you hit it on the head. You hope that when he comes back, he looks good enough to be developed on the practice squad.
Agree.
Yeah.
They have 9 receivers under contract right now. That's very light, by the way, for training camp. Teams rarely have less than that. Start a regular training camp. Plus, you remember now, you've got the preseason games back. The Eagles have 3.
Right.
So we'll see. They have 7 receivers returning. Actually, no, less than that. Fulgham's 1, Rager's 2, Watkins is 3, Hightower's 4, Ward is 5, Arthega-Whiteside is 6.
Right.
And then they've got Smith, the first-round pick, who the analytics information folks that Geoff was going over in the last show was on absolute fire. I learned so much from is it Zane Gonzalez?
Zane Gonzalez, yes. He's been doing
great job, Zane.
Analytics
Phenomenal. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so listen to that for sure. Osben is an undrafted free agent who I don't see any way he makes a team based on what I know about the player. He's just he's not explosive enough. Michael Walker, I'm sure Dave Caldwell, the ex-Jaguars GM, had to have something to do with it.
Right.
Because he's got intel. He signed the guy last year. So
sure.
We'll see. I mean, he's more of a slot receiver, returner, run after the catch. Who knows? But the thing is, the only reason why I wanted to mention this position is just like a lot of positions here. There's a chance, and we're going to get into the defense. We'll explain this more when we get to the defensive 53 projection. There's a chance here for someone to come out of nowhere and make the team. There really is.
There is no doubt about it. All right, well, let's get into that 53-man projection defense. And by the way, we didn't do the official, like, how many offensive players we kept, and then, how many defensive players are we keeping to make it add up to 53. But, it's really more just like a who's likely and not likely to make the team. Who's
that'll be done in August.
Certain spots. Yeah, we will do a more official one.
Right before the 53 set, we'll do one. We'll go, here's our guesses.
Right.
They're guesses. I mean, I love it though, because it's a great debate. In fact, you and I did not agree on some of the players on the last show. I was surprised by that.
Right. Yeah. All right, well, let's see what we agree on in this one and don't agree on. Let's start with the defensive line, and we'll go from inside out. We'll start at defensive tackle, where this is a very top-heavy position for the Eagles. Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave are making the team. I don't think you're going to argue that one.
Yep. Locks.
Milton Williams is a 3rd-round pick. We'll get into him from an analytics standpoint
He'll be on
later. He'll be on the team because he's a 3rd-round pick. And then after that, you got a couple of guys competing for either 1 or 2 spots. We have Hassan Ridgeway, the incumbent. We have the rookie 6th-rounder Marlon Tuipulotu. We've got T.Y. McGill, Mr. I'm back every year for a little bit. We've got
4 times with this guy. How many times
it might be. It really might be.
No, look it up. God.
We got Raekwon the Chef Williams, the rookie free agent from last year who made it, and Willie Henry, the journeyman veteran who played for the Ravens, right? He was a 4th rounder.
Correct. Yep. And by the way, this is 8 teams now for T.Y. McGill. My God, wow.
Well, I mean, that just that look, I mean, we can joke about T.Y. McGill, but when he's been signed that often, it means he's got a requisite skill set. I mean, he's a reliable guy.
Somebody likes him.
Get in there and play. Yeah.
Right. That's true. Fair enough.
Yeah. 8 times he's been signed, you said? 8?
I'm saying 8 different teams. 8 different teams. Seattle, Indy, Cleveland, Kansas City, Chargers, Eagles, Clippers, Chargers,
right.
Saints, Eagles. It's unbelievable that Cleveland. I don't even remember.
Some pretty good teams in that list too. I mean, Seattle, you said. Kansas City is pretty good.
I remember on the Colts. Yeah, I do remember on the Colts, but Cleveland, I don't remember that. Kansas City, I don't remember that.
Saints, I don't remember. But
nope. Washington, I don't. Man, where's time gone?
I don't know.
There's something teams like. You're absolutely right. There's something they must like. This is going to take 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Back in it was right before I covered the NFL in the late 90s. There was a player named Farrah Collins.
Collins?
Ferric, maybe Collons, something like that.
Okay.
This is some guy who tested well. Every team wanted him. There was a famous story in scouting where there's something early analytics these teams liked on this guy, and they kept going from team to team to team to team to team. I don't know why people like this guy, but this T.Y. McGill, there's something like teams like. I don't know, but someone likes him.
Sounds like a good future movie. There's something about T.Y.
McGill. Yeah,
exactly. So as we mentioned, Cox, Hargrave, Williams, that's your first 3 guys on the depth chart. Now, that doesn't mean Williams will be the 3rd defensive tackle when the season starts. He has to prove that.
Yep.
I think Hassan Ridgeway interests me a lot, Adam, just because he's got the Colts background before he came to the Eagles. He's been a good enough player when healthy to earn his spots and his playing time, but he's had trouble staying healthy. So that kind of opens up the door for the 6th rounder that they really like, Marlon Tuipulotu, who's versatile, can play the 1 technique, can play the 3. So he can do a lot of different things in Jonathan Gannon's scheme to kind of jockey with Hassan. I mean, maybe they both make it. And you just wonder which one gets the playing time.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. You had that scoop like 3 months ago. This is the way I see Tuipulotu. I'm not saying he's not a good player, and I know they had a higher grade than 6 on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe, because they want him to play the 1, that there are different styles of the way you use a nose tackle. How you shade them and all that.
Right.
But you're right. You're definitely right about that. That's a big part of why he's here. They don't have anyone like him on the roster.
Right.
I know Hargrave in a 34 technically played nose for the Steelers, but he's a different type of nose. He's definitely got pass rush to him, Hargrave. There's no doubt about it. He's not your typical nose, does not rush the passer.
Right.
They think Tuipulotu, I think Cosell might have said it too. So I know someone told us that he's got some pass rush in him. So I'm putting him on the team. I'm going to put 5 of them. Cox and Hargrave are locks. Williams is a lock.
Right.
I'm going to put Ridgeway and Tuipulotu on the team for now.
Yeah, I know when I asked, which kind of day 3 guy, is likeliest to make the 53. Some of the feedback I got was watch for Marlon Tuipulotu, because as you mentioned, they had a higher grade than a 6. He's versatile, strong guy, and you always need run stoppers. I mean, you always need pass rushers too. But if you look around the league, everybody loads up on pass rushers, and then you forget sometimes you just need like your who's the guy that Chip always had? It was very reliable. Benny Logan type, right? A guy who can do a little bit of both, but can be good. And even Damian Square,
your guy,
throw our name in the back, who I was a big fan of, would come in and give them some notable reps when they needed it.
He was a good player, undrafted out of Alabama in 12, I think, right?
Yeah, I think he's still in the league. Yeah,
Cleveland,
Cleveland was last year, right?
Yeah, Cleveland signed him. He had been with the Chargers forever.
Yep, and the Chiefs too. I think he was with the Chiefs.
Okay, real good story for the Chargers. Always had a role.
Mm-hmm.
Would dress on game day. And 2012, we're talking about. We're not talking about Brandon Bear,
right?
Former Chip guy,
right?
Who Chip took out of mothballs, if you remember. Or who's the guy Dave Ball, the receiver from New Hampshire? Remember he brought him out. The guy,
of course.
Yeah. What was he? 30 when Chip signed him.
How's Jeff Mail doing these days?
Jeff delivered the mail. There were so many running jokes I don't want to, we'll get into that when we do the chip show.
Yeah, that's our story or our story show. Yeah.
Just chip stuff. Oh, vey.
So real quick on DT though,
sorry.
Adam, as far as trying to figure out the right roles, right? We know Cox and Hargrave start. So let's say they're playing a team that's, comes out, moves the ball well, good scripted first 15. And, Cox and Hargrave have played 10 straight snaps.
Yeah.
And Gannon wants to go to his second string line. And this is where it's fascinating to me. It's 1st and 10. So he's got to have somebody out there, maybe to stop the run or one run stuffer, one pass rusher. Is it, does Tui Pelotu show enough to be out there with another rookie in Milton Williams for your second string line? Or does that where Ridgeway's veteran experience kind of comes in, where you can kind of have a second string line of Ridgeway and Williams in case you want Williams for a little burst, or Ridgeway and Tui Pelotu in case it's your second string line and it's not first and goal, but maybe a rundown, 2nd and 1 or something, or 3rd and 1 really. And you want to stop the run. He's going to have to figure out that right combination, because as we've talked about often, not a whole lot of proven talent here in the backup ranks.
I know. In fact, I think just because I think they were together, Ridgeway and Gannon, for 1 year in 18 and 80. Right. I'm assuming that Ridgeway, because he's the only guy who has experience with these backups that should make the team or have a chance to. I know Willie Henry's played in the league. He was a 4th round pick for Baltimore, but he's a major long shot to make the team. He's bounced around. He hasn't been really able to stick.
Right.
Ridgeway is a guy that I know they like, and he's done really well in training camp practices. Something happens with injuries with him.
Mm-hmm.
I would say to delve into your point here, I would think Ridgeway would be that first guy off the bench. But again, we don't even know who's going to be, because we're not in training camp yet, and they did nothing. And they did the coaches didn't learn a heck of a lot because they had no teamwork. They didn't do 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s.
Mm-hmm.
All they could judge in OTAs is who's fit physically, who came in out of shape, who's in shape, who's learning well. We're teaching you our techniques here. They're going to be different from what you had in the wide 9. Who's learning, who's not, who's behind. That's all you could really do. So they don't know anything about their backups yet. Unfortunately, that's why it's hard to project these.
Right.
But I feel that Ridgeway is a guy I know they like, because he's flashed. He's got what he really should be for an NFL team is a 4th tackle. Fourth defensive. That to me is the ultimate. But unfortunately, you don't have anyone who could be either 3rd. That's exactly kind of where they're at. As
we sit here today, it feels like 5 will make it: Cox, Hargrave, Williams, Tui Pelotu, and Ridgeway. As long as Ridgeway's healthy and doing what he's supposed to do.
So you and I agree.
Like. Yeah.
Right. Now could Quan Williams, who they paid a decent guarantee to,
right?
Surprise, sure. I'm sure. But on paper, that's Geoff and I agree of those 5.
Right. Do you think if Williams makes the team because he plays well, he knocks like Ridgeway out, or did he knock Tui Pelotu to the practice squad? I think that's,
I would say,
remains to be seen, but
it's tough because he would have, think about it. We know for a fact that Tui Pelotu had a higher grade. Now, again, just to reiterate, and this is something Geoff and I have been talking about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Every player has several grades,
right?
By the area scout, the scouting director, assistant scouting director, over the top scout, general manager, personnel director. He might have had 7 grades. What we do know is this: most of the grades that were turned in were higher than a 6. So the chances are he's going to make the team. And as you pointed out, you had heard that they were looking for someone who could play the nose. He absolutely could play nose. Even if it's only 15 snaps a game, he has value.
Correct.
So to answer your question, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm agreeing.
So to answer your question, I would think if Raekwon Williams blows it up, then Ridgeway would be the guy to leave.
I would think that too. As long as Tui Pelotu hasn't fallen on his face.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. All right, defensive end. We've got some familiar names, obviously, with Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat. They signed Ryan Kerrigan, who's going to, go back and forth a little bit, linebacker at the end. So those are 4 guys to me that are no doubt about it, locks to make the team. And then you look at their backup pool, and boy, talk about top heavy. And again, completely after that, I mean, Teron Jackson is the 6th round pick from Coastal Carolina. Then Matt Leo is the international exemption guy back for a 2nd year. Then Jaquan Bailey, the rookie free agent from I forget where.
I think it might have been
Iowa State,
yeah,
or maybe one of those 2. So
Iowa State, yep.
Iowa State, right? I pulled that one out. All right, so really only 4 guys to me stand out as should make the team. That's Graham, Barnett, Sweat, and Kerrigan. Jackson being a draft pick is going to get some preference, but I mean, he's kind of a project, a Coastal Carolina guy, right? I mean,
Yep.
But you can't just go in with 4 defensive ends.
Well, here's okay. It's funny you say that. I don't know why I did this. I spent like 20 minutes on this earlier this week because I was just trying to, just like you outlined, it was my problem. But here's something I forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
We had heard, we put out on our show first a couple months ago that Jannard, Avery, and Osman were moving to linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but remember, they have positional versatility. Well, that gives them the ability to cut Jackson, to only keep 4 DNs.
Right.
Because Avery and Osman could play DN. Now, that's the other problem. I don't know if Osman's going to make the team. This is the thing I struggle with when I was trying to juggle. Like, it's funny you set it up this way because that was exactly my problem with this. There's so many machinations with this thing because there's so many jobs open.
Right.
These backup jobs are wide open, and you better have versatility. If you don't have versatility, right?
Yeah.
We talked about the Dillard challenge because Dillard's really only a left tackle.
Right.
If you don't have versatility, but he's a first-round pick, so he's going to make it. They're obviously not going to cut him.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, it makes it really, really difficult to decide who goes and who stays. I just can't imagine. This will be a great. I would love to know what these talks are like in the end of August. And let's say Trevon Jackson does well, and Osman and Avery look like they've had a good enough camp in preseason. They need to make the team.
Right.
Someone's got to go.
No, and you're making a fascinating point. And I for everybody who loves to do their 53-man roster projections, it's been a little bit simpler to do in the past when Jim Schwartz was defensive coordinator, because you may have trouble figuring out who's going to make that last spot, but you could usually figure out numerically how many they were going to keep at certain positions. But I think here's a case where I say, Adam, you can't just go into the year with Graham, Barnett, Sweat, and Kerrigan. You can't just go in with 4 defensive ends, but you actually could if you're considering both Jannard, Avery, and anyone else like an Osman, right? If he happens to make it as a linebacker / pass rusher. So you're almost using a player to give you depth at 2 different positions with 1 roster spot. And we'll talk about that as we get to linebacker and safety a little bit, because there's some versatility in there. So they could go in with 4 defensive ends, but it doesn't mean they're going with 4 pass rushers. So,
right. See, I call Kerrigan a pass rusher. I don't call him technically he's going to be a DN for them, but we know for a fact he's going to play both stand-up linebacker and DN. He's a pass rusher. It's not like they're going to ask him to drop. He's here to rush the passer.
Of course.
33 years old. He ain't here to cover anybody. No, I mean,
exactly.
This guy tormented them for years. I mean, it's just like, who did he get badly? Was it Big V?
He got Big V pretty badly. Yeah. I think it was like Big V's first snap in 2017, and he just completely edged him. And I think he ripped Carson's jersey out of his pants.
Could anyone listening remember who's tormented the Eagles more as a pass rusher? Can you remember, as long as you've been covering the team?
More than Kerrigan?
Other than Kerrigan, yeah.
DeMarcus Ware terrorized the Eagles for a while, but he went to Denver then and didn't play him as much. Sure. So Kerrigan obviously probably has more sacks.
Sure.
But as far as nemesis, multiple times, DeMarcus Ware is probably the only one I can think of. I mean, OCU Manura got fat off 1 game.
6. Yeah. But anyway, so that's the dilemma. So right now I've got them for 5 D tackles and 5 D ends. I've got Trevon Jackson
right
on the roster for now, but that doesn't mean when we get to August that'll have him late August that'll have him on there. It really depends on how he plays.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose now, I probably wouldn't put Trevon Jackson on.
Okay.
But I can see why you would, thinking you got to have more than 4 defensive ends. But I mean, he's got a lot to prove, and 6th-round pick, small school. Plus, I just go back to, I remember what Greg Cosell said. He almost felt like Trevon Jackson was a better interior run stuffer, I think, than an edge rusher. So I think we have a lot to find out about him, Trevon Jackson.
Right. Yep.
All right. Oh no, maybe Greg. I'm sorry. Greg might have said that about the other kid they drafted, Patrick.
Oh, Patrick Johnson. Yeah, it was one of the 2 of them.
It was one of those 2. One of those 2. But I know he was kind of, on both.
We'll ask him again when we talk.
Yes, we will do that. All right, we will get into linebacker first. Remember that DraftKings Sportsbook, it's not only our favorite sportsbook, but it's America's top-rated sportsbook. We love using DraftKings Sportsbook. Very easy to navigate. Plenty of instructions for new bettors. Nearly limitless ways to get in on all of the action. Our friends and family have been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and we know you will too. So check out the great offer. DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. That's right. You pick any basketball team that's still in contention, and the number is dwindling, and you bet $1. And if that team wins, you win $100 in site credits. So don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook will offer also great odds and promotions on baseball, hockey, and so much more all week long. DraftKings is safe, secure, reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code ITB when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice, and if the team wins, you claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code ITB for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we move on to the linebacker, and this is going to be my favorite one, Adam, because there's about 8 or 9, 10 names we're going to go through, and right now, as if we do a 53-man roster project, there's only one guy we know is a starter, right? We know one guy's making the team. Eric Wilson is making the team. Everybody's fighting out there.
I mean, you would think Alex Singleton would make the team, right? Because he was a good story for them. Well, here's the thing: different coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, you're right. Eric Wilson will either start at middle linebacker, weak side, but the thing is, Eagles are going to be a 5-2-4 team, so they're going to be a nickel team. That's their base. Their base is nickel,
right?
It's not four. Yeah, is it a 4-man front? Yeah, but they're going to be a 4-2-5 team. I'm sorry, not 5-2-4.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. So anyway, look, Wilson's the only guy we know about. After that, T.J. Edwards is a limited player. He's strictly if they're going against a power run team.
Mm-hmm.
If he makes a team, he'll have a chance to play maybe 20 snaps, something like that. He's not going to play a lot.
Right.
This is unique coverage linebackers in this defense. Wilson is one of them. That Geoff is absolutely right. Now, what we've heard is Avery did look good in what they asked him to do. Mm-hmm. But again, they didn't do 7-on-7s or 11-on-11s, so we don't know a lot about him.
Yeah.
In this scheme.
Yeah,
we know he's lining up the strong side. He opened some eyes in training in OTAs, but again, it's not. Oh, you set it up right. I honestly, I'm taking some stabs at this, but I know it could change by day. Right now, I've got Wilson as a lock. Obviously, he's starting.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Jannard Avery on it for now because they need someone who could rush on the strong side, playing that. Not that people like this always playing the Anthony Barr role. Let's slow a roll here. No one's Anthony Barr.
Right.
Anthony Barr's long, who was a pretty good pass rusher in college at UCLA. For some reason, he's a very good coverage linebacker. It's not perfect. People will point out times he didn't cover well, but
yeah,
the Vikings will tell you, as they've told me, the guy could really cover. That's why he's made a lot of money.
Sure.
That's why Mike Zimmer loves him. He's long, and the Jets almost got him years ago, but he changed his mind. But anyway,
right.
Avery, Wilson are 2. I'm only putting Sean Bradley for special teams strictly. I don't see him dressing. I don't see him playing much on defense. Mm-hmm. He's a good special teams player. 6th-round pick last year. That's 3, but he counts as a linebacker.
Right.
I struggled after that. I don't have Osman making it.
Well, you got to have Singleton. You're going to have Singleton.
Singleton on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Singleton's on it. So I've got Wilson's 1, Avery's 2, Bradley's 3, Singleton's 4.
You're going to have Davion Taylor. I can't imagine he's going to get cut. I mean, it could happen, but if you're keeping Jannard Avery because of the promise of what he brings athletically, then you're probably going to keep Davion Taylor for similar, not exact, but similar reasons.
Well, see, then you can't keep 7 linebackers. You could keep up to 6.
Here's the thing about Edwards and Bradley, Adam. I don't know if there's room for both because I feel like they're similar. Neither are great athletes. They're neither are cover guys. They're both guys who are smart against the run, can play the run, and can give you good special teams production if they're not starting or if they're not playing on defense. So are they really going to keep Edwards and Sean Bradley, a guy who's a rookie free agent, another guy who is a 7th-round pick. I don't know. I mean, I know this is a very fluid position, but they've already drafted Jacoby Stevens. I'm sure they're going to want to give him a good look here.
He's a project. I mean, he's
right. I'm just saying,
though, that plays into it. That plays into the project. He is absolutely a project. Right. They're going to want to keep him because they want to develop him. They made this decision. He's going to play linebacker, not safety.
Right.
So you might as well see it through and not waive him.
Yeah. And if you think he can compete on special teams while he's being developed, then he's in the conversation with Edwards and Bradley.
Sure.
But you might think that you need somebody like Edwards or Bradley who has played because, after Wilson and Singleton, you have so much uncertainty. I mean, Avery can't cover. He's really a linebacker who's just going to rush the passer mostly. So you need linebackers who can actually play linebacker the true textbook way if Wilson is going to get hurt or Singleton's going to get hurt. And so that might open the door for Edwards and Bradley to both make the team.
Well, here's the issue I have. Other than Wilson, who could cover?
Just Singleton, but and I wouldn't say that's great coverage, but he at least has spatial weight. I mean, he can get by.
I'm going to put, for now, I would put, this is so tough because every year this is so easy for us because there are never jobs open. There's so many jobs open, so many roles, hard. I'm putting Singleton as a starter for right now. Okay. However they want to do it, however they want to line up the 2 linebackers, that's their job to figure it out. So here we go. Before we move to the defensive back, we're going to give them Wilson, obviously. Avery is 2.
Singleton 3.
3. Edwards is 4. Davion Taylor 5. Jacoby Stevens is 6. Bradley's gone.
Yeah.
Someone's got to go.
I would totally agree with that, and then leave the door open that maybe they only keep 5 and try to get Stevens on the practice squad.
Okay.
And that leaves them a little bare. But again, they're going to be a nickel team, so it's not like you need 6 linebackers. And then you have the ability to bring a Kevon Wallace, as we'll get into. You have some guys who can in the safety who can come in and make tackles. So if you want to, in case you want to abandon that cover 2 at sometimes and bring a guy in for run support.
Yeah. So we'll see. We don't know what kind of coverages they're going to have yet. That's just kind of fluid. Right. We know the only thing we know about coverages is there are going to be a lot more disguise in this defense. That much you could take to the bank and cash that check. That's going to happen.
There you go.
This wide 9 is junked. That philosophy is out the door.
Yep. All right, we get to cornerback next. Look, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse. We've already talked about this position. There's Darius Slay, and then there's just question marks everywhere. Right, jobs open everywhere.
Take it away. Go.
So you got the rookie Zech McPhearson. You've got Craig James, Kevon Seymour, Michael Jacquet, Josiah Scott, Lavert Hill, Graylin Arnold, Shaquille Taylor, and Nate Meters. And of course, Avonte Maddox as well, who can play inside and outside, although we think is definitely going to be an inside player. So I don't know how many these corner. We both think that they're going to get another corner. So I'm almost
that's a lot.
I almost want to do this in saying Slay 1, TBA 2, right? Zech McPhearson 3. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I can't tell you it's going to be locked by training if they're going to add a corner. It could be.
It may not be by the start of camp. That's true.
No, it actually could be. They've done this before. Other teams do it as well. Final cut down to 53, or the initial cut down. There's never a final. The initial cut down to 53. They claim a guy off waivers they like, and that guy may be playing early on. Who the hell knows?
Right.
Because if they don't get Steven Nelson, who really, quite frankly, if you look at it out there, he's the only guy worth signing. I don't know where they're going here. Let's say trade for a guy, and you and I have said this throughout. The Ronald Darby situations, you can't count on that. That's just pot luck. That's just total luck.
Right.
Of a starting corner being available. These teams, if you look at transaction for the last 5 years, show me starting corners got traded in August, other than Ronald Darby.
It doesn't happen very often. Yeah. You're correct. You're correct. So look, I mean, Slay is on the team, McPhearson's on the team, Avonte Maddox is on the team. That's 3 right there. I think Craig James is going to wind up making this team.
Knows the defense.
Knows the defense is played. That's 4. I don't think Kevon Seymour makes it.
Oh, really? I got him on there.
I think Michael Jacquet, because of the size, has the ability to develop, and Josiah Scott, who they traded and was a 4th round pick.
Well, they gave up a 6 for him, did they?
Yeah, they gave up a 6, but he was a 4th round pick. Yeah, okay, so maybe it's between. I think we have talked about Scott as someone who's so much like Maddox that it makes sense to have him on the team. I don't know. He may have a terrible training camp and get cut.
Yeah.
For all I know. And
Sure.
same thing with Kevon Seymour. He may have a good training camp, make the team. I don't know. To me, it's a big toss up. But
Seymour,
if I had to pick, I would
Good.
take probably Scott over Seymour just based on pedigree.
I've got Seymour over Scott because of playing experience with Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know, he's had a big injury history. Now he was healthy, relatively healthy last year, I think. I just, to me, at least he's got experience. This thing is such a mess, a corner.
Yeah.
Folks, as you could hear, it's just.
I think you got romanticized by the Kevon Seymour interview on Sirius XM, and now you're on the Kevon.
But what it is yeah, that's true. He was on IR late in the season, but he does no. What I'm looking at, he has playing experience. That's it. That's the only reason why I have him on the roster.
Right.
He's going to prove himself.
Okay.
But man, it's such a mess at corner. I just cannot. I understand. You know, in the NFL, you can't solve every issue. They definitely addressed a bunch in the offseason. But this is such an important position. To not sign a veteran corner, I just don't understand it. But hey, maybe I'm the minority here.
You and I should just like blindly pick one like real fringe corner here to root for. Like I get Lavert Hill, you get Shaquille Taylor.
Well, it's funny because you screamed last year if they don't draft. What did you say? If they don't draft a safety, I'm quitting or what? I don't know what you said.
No, and then I changed it to I know they're not going to draft a safety, and I bet you if the Eagles this year drafted a safety in the first 3 rounds, I would retire and walk and just give up my job, which I knew I wouldn't have to do because I knew they weren't going to do it.
They did,
and they did not. I knew they were going to draft offensive line in the second round. I even said that in several pods leading up to the draft, even though that wasn't necessarily their most pressing need because you don't draft on.
Well,
so.
see, I look at it like this: this team offensively has a lot of upside. A lot of things have to happen.
Right.
Defensively, they've so many issues at linebacker, lack of depth on defensive line at tackle in the interior. They with Kerrigan now they have depth. They're 4 deep at DN. That's good. But linebacker's a total mess.
Mm-hmm.
Cornerback is a total mess opposite Slay. So right now I've got Slay, McPhearson, James, Seymour, Jaquette, and Maddox at 6.
Okay.
Obviously, if they sign a veteran, someone's got to go.
Right.
You had us going, what, 9 deep in the offensive line? Something like that?
I think it was 9 deep there. Yeah.
Okay. Look, safety, let's get to safety now.
Yeah. I'm just letting you know, I'm not biting yet on the Kevon Seymour carrot. You know,
okay, that's fine.
All right.
I'm just looking for someone who has experience. They just
I hear you. I get you.
They don't have any. All right, safety. Rodney McLeod.
Yep.
He'll obviously start training camp with an active PUP. That barring a miracle, that's what he'll be starting on because he's not. It's always been about the regular season for him. He's acknowledged that publicly. So let's strongly assume he'll be an active PUP to start training camp. We'll see when he'll come off of it, if he does at all. If he does, by the regular season, great. But right now he's on the 53. Anthony Harris obviously is a starter.
Yep.
Von Wallace is there. Epps knows the defense. He's here. Now, I'm putting Andrew Adams on there because he's special teams and he has playing experience.
Yeah.
If you want to cut him, go ahead.
No, I mean, they don't even have enough bodies at this position to even like when training camp starts and you get your first team, your second team, your third team, and sometimes a fourth team. You don't even have 8 safeties here. Plus, Rodney McLeod's probably not going to be practicing, so you're going to have Harris and Wallace running with the first team. And then you're down to Marcus Epps and Andrew Adams as your second. That's your second string defense. That's what you would have to do if both guys, your starters, got hurt, which we've seen has happened. So who's third string? Elijah Riley and who? Is Graylin Arnold going to? Because isn't Graylin Arnold also considered like
he could play hybrid, right? So you're right. So right now they only have 5 safeties that are able to practice: Harris, Wallace, Epps, Adams, and Riley.
Right.
And then you have a real training camp this year, folks. We're not having an abbreviated one. We're having a real one. So you're going to have, 3 weeks, not like 6 weeks when I started in 2000 or 5 weeks, whatever the hell it was. It's just kind of funny how it's shrunken down here. But you got that. And then you got the 3 preseason games. So yeah, here's the question. Okay. So right now, if we're going to count McLeod against the roster in the fall, meaning he'll be on the 53.
Yeah, he'll be on.
So right now, to me, we won't know this until training camp. If McLeod's not ready, who's starting next to Anthony Harris?
It's Kevon Wallace. Well, I think it's Kevon Wallace. I mean, if Marcus Epps is the guy I say to keep your eye on because there was a time last year that they thought he could really,
Sure.
progress to that number.
Knows the defense. Yep.
Knows the defense. I mean, I'm still not like, I wouldn't be beating my chest over starting, Marcus Epps. I mean,
Right,
that's still not an ideal position for the team, but this is the easiest. As long as if the roster stays the same, basically, this is the easiest position to predict. You're right. It's McLeod, Harris, Wallace, Epps, and Andrews. And
Yep.
that's 5 safeties, and
Yep.
I don't see anybody else making it.
That's it, man. That's it. This is, offensive. Let me ask you a question as we close this out. We'll get to the analytics in a second. I can't wait for that. What did just as an overview? Because I know some people are starting to think this team will be better than 5 or 6 wins. I'm not sure about that. It has upside on offense. Do you think the offense will carry the defense, or the defense will carry the offense this season?
Oh man, I mean, it's hard for me to say the defense is going to carry the offense.
Well, no. What do you
sitting
think
here having a conversation about having no number 2 corner?
All right,
right?
fair response. Let me rephrase it. What do you think will be better, their offense or defense?
I would probably say offense.
Yep.
But I'm not like 100% confident. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if the Eagles finish with like 6 wins, right, and they're ranked like 18th offensively and 24th defensively, are you really like, hey, the offense carried the defense, right? You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So,
but the reason why I say it is I look at Fulgham, who we know is gifted. We'll see if the light goes on. Does he come in with the right attitude? We've outlined this since last November. People have listened to our show for since last season already. Have heard this 1,000 times on Fulgham, so we need to go into his issues. But the kid is super gifted. He's their one size receiver who they have in the rotation. Arthega Whiteside right now is not in the rotation. We don't know if he makes the roster. Fulgham's one of their top 3 receivers, so he's gifted. Rager could flat out fly. He's healthy now. They have a big role in mind for him. Devontae Smith, they have a monster role in mind for him. These are talented receivers, and Greg Ward is a very dependable, not a fast, but he's a dependable pass target.
Right.
And then you got Goddard, who's a stud. So all these guys at running back who have versatility, and the coaching will be better this year. So Sanders probably will have a better year. There's a lot going on with this offense. The potential here. I know 1,000 people have been saying this. What if the line stays healthy? That's the point. If this line stays healthy for 14 games, Geoff, this potentially could be an upper half offense.
Oh, absolutely. I do think that. I have a harder time seeing the defense finish in the upper half than the offense. So yes, I agree. The offense should be ahead.
Linebacker group and cornerback group, hells no.
Right. But you would have said last year probably the same thing, that you expected the offense to be better. Now the injuries took certainly took a toll. But I mean, Carson obviously regressed to a point where you just wondered, like, did any of the analysis that you gave in the preseason matter by week 4?
I don't know what the hell
anything we said all year long matter by week 4 or 5. No. It was like, whatever.
Exactly.
All right. Make sure you're checking out our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of our Philadelphia sports teams. They are for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. So give them a read at PHLSportsNation.com. Find them on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. Also check out our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And as we'll pause to hear a word from our great sponsors, including, as I mentioned, our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, if you stop into Sky Motor Cars, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal.
Go to their website too. They do a tremendous amount of internet business. In fact, I think Brett Shoulder, the owner of the company, Sky Motor Cars, on their website, I think he does more business through the internet. And they're probably one of the top used car dealers in the East Coast, but they do a tremendous amount of internet business. So check them out at skymotorcars.com.
There you go. All right, Adam, there's a lot to get into. Not a lot, but there's some good stuff to get into here with Milton Williams and with Zech McPhearson. And the one thing that stands out about both of them, besides the fact they're both on defense, and again, thank you to Zane Gonzalez for our intern for helping us with the research and putting this together. By the way, what school did Zane go to, Adam?
Penn State.
Yeah.
And it's not the kicker who was drafted by the.
No, not the. I meant to say that last podcast.
It's funny because
not the former NFL kicker.
Well, the funny story, the Zane Gonzalez, the kicker. I don't think is on a team. So for just a second, I'm like, it can't be.
And now, definitely not the same guy.
Yeah, I got you.
But the one thing that stands out, and you also saw this with the first and second round pick, is that these two guys, Williams and McPhearson, while they have certain question marks because you're getting later in the draft that we'll discuss, that there's a good amount of experience here for coming into the NFL with college games under their belt. And obviously that was a big issue this year because a lot of guys opted out, right? And didn't have that experience, like Kenny Gainwell, for example. But Williams, the 3rd round pick, played 10 games in 2020 this past year and had played 12 games the year before. So he comes in here just in the last 2 years with 22 games of experience and being extraordinarily productive. In 2019, he played 760 snaps. And last year he played almost 500 snaps. So you're getting a guy who doesn't come in here like some other guys who will be coming into camp who haven't played in over a year and may have only played college for a year and then may have had to work his way up in that year, later in the year. So you're going to get some raw kids coming into the NFL this year, but the Eagles with this draft class are getting some really experienced guys. And I think that's going to help them. I'm not saying that's going to push them over the edge or anything like that, but I certainly think that's going to help them acclimate pretty quickly because these are bright guys who have played in multiple schemes and have played a lot of games in college.
They put a big emphasis on testing. And this kid tested really well, Milton Williams.
Yeah.
From what we understand, Tracy Rocker, the D-line coach, is very high on him. His pro day numbers are just incredible in terms of measurables. He doesn't have the arm length that you want, which is a problem. 31.5-inch arms, but short shuttle was good. 3-cone for a guy's size was good. 6'3", 284. And I know his weight has gone up and down. The reason why he wasn't his college production obviously was really good, but the issue teams have is they don't know what he is. Right. Teams do not like tweener players in general. Because if you don't have a position on the D line, that becomes a problem for coaches because sometimes they don't know how to use the player, or they just don't know how he fits in. But clearly Tracy Rocker, because he was in on this one where he liked the player a lot. He's got to count for him. It's his job to develop the guy. So we'll see. And his bench was great, 34. He's very strong. I get a kind of kick though. People say, "Oh, well, Aaron Donald's built like this." Folks, have you seen Aaron Donald's hands? You know why he wins? Watch the tape.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
He's up with but his broad jump was fantastic. Vertical was great. There's a lot. The measurables are good, but you do worry about the level of competition, which is a factor. The arm length, because that means that the longer lineman could get into you faster and you have shorter arms. That's a fact. That's a scouting note. It can't be disputed. It's the fact.
Right. I'm glad you brought up level of competition because Zane did a really good job here of comparing Milton Williams to the other defensive tackle who made all conference USA at defensive tackle, and seeing that if you're gonna draft a kid from a smaller school like that, you've got to make sure his production is off the charts and even better than guys who are playing in that conference. So Dion Noville from North Texas, and I may have mispronounced his last name. It might be Noville or Noville.
Okay.
He was the other all-conference first-team defensive tackle. He played 8 games as well. He finished with 2.5 sacks and 37 tackles. Now that compares to what Milton did, which was blow that away by 6 sacks, 4 hits, and 20 hurries and 45 tackles. So in many regards, Milton Williams and Dion Noville both earned the same distinction as far as first-team all-conference D tackle, but Milton Williams's numbers are far exceeding what Dion Noville did. So that's a good sign that you're getting a player who didn't just perform well in a game, or he dominated the level of competition he played at, which we've seen from small school kids in the NFL. There are plenty of small school kids in the NFL, but they have to have dominated at that level.
He did, and he has to win. He needs to short set the D lineman because he's got to. The short set term is you're getting into the offensive lineman before they could get to you.
Right.
Because with the shorter arms, he has to win with his hands and lower body explosion, which he has. That's what the vertical shows, a lower body explosion. So there's a lot to love about this kid from an analytical and measurable standpoint. And as you said, the production is just ridiculously great. And that he's got a lot going for him. That's for sure.
Now, here's a stat that might reflect a barrier for Milton Williams. For a guy who had as many sacks he did from the interior in college, he had 0 forced fumbles for his career. Now, when I think of an interior tackle forcing a fumble, it's usually on a sack, right? Obviously, you get a sack, but you also see him kind of take that arm and slap it out when the quarterback is either holding it high or doesn't have it secure in the pocket. And we do know, as you mentioned, that Milton Williams is a short-armed guy. So you would want, this would lead you to wonder about his ability to finish at the NFL level. He seems to have the burst to be able to chase down a quarterback, but does he have the arm length and the technique to be able to bring down quarterbacks, cause disruptive plays, jar the ball loose? 0 forced fumbles for as many sacks as he had is a weird,
disappointing.
Weird stat. Yeah.
That could be just because I don't want to denigrate a coach. I have no idea who coached him. I just know that could be coached in terms of stripping the ball or technique. This is where Tracy Rocker, who's a longtime college coach, by the way, although he coached with the Titans years ago in the NFL, this is where coaching comes in. This is what he'll be charged with.
Right.
Your job is, as a coach, to teach technique and hand usage, because Rocker is what a linebacker in college, so he knows, and he's coached D-line forever. This is your job. You got to coach this guy up. Typically at the lower level schools, the coaching is not good. Again, I don't know who coached him. So I don't know how he was coached in terms of stripping the football, but I do know at this level, this is the highest level of football. And Rocker's a guy who's coached forever, mostly at the college level. So he knows.
Right.
And this is the guy, as you and I have learned, this is a guy he pushed for. So look, this is his job. This is his project here to me, this guy, because he's got such gifts.
I agree. He has a very high pass rusher rating, 8.55 out of 10. And this is based on an algorithm of analytics.
PFF?
No, I don't think this one is specifically PFF. This is a college football analytics algorithm.
Got it.
That Zane points out. And so he has a great pass rusher rating, which we just talked about why, with his burst. His tackling rating, 6.89 out of 10, is considered kind of middle of the line. So you're not going to put Milton Williams in, even if there's an injury to like Hargrave or Cox on 3rd and 2 in the middle of the field to try to stop the running back. This guy has to succeed as a pass rusher, or else they're going to have to figure out a way to put him at the edge, maybe change his position, or he's just not going to work out. In other words, he's not going to be that versatile guy who can come in and give you a little bit of both. He's going to have to be an excellent pass rusher at this level to be able to justify being picked in the 3rd and be able to have longevity.
Yeah, the transition for him is going to be challenging because, again, lower level of competition. There's certain measurables or certain numbers he didn't do well with. You mentioned the lack of fumbles forced, which is a problem. He's a tweener in terms of size. For instance, Solomon Thomas, right, comes out of Stanford. Yeah, great Senior Bowl, high first-round pick. There were a lot of teams that did not like him because he didn't have a position. And when you don't have a position as a D lineman, that's a problem. When you don't have the correct measurables for a particular position, that's a problem. So you got to make it up with other intangibles, hand usage, explosion, beating your offensive lineman. If you don't beat them, you're done because you don't have the requisite arm length. And this is why not everyone liked this player in terms of what you're looking for. Right. Certain stats are unbelievable for this kid. You love, but certain you could question. Right. That are legitimate.
Well, look, we knew the pick was polarized. Well, I don't want to say polarizing. That assumes that there's like a faction on this end and a faction on that end. And we knew that, obviously the Tom Donahoe thing when that pick was made.
That's right.
But other people seem very happy about it. But I do think that when you look at a draft and you have certain expectations that your 1st and 2nd round pick are going to be good players, that's obvious. If they don't, the draft usually is going to stink anyway. But assuming Dickerson and Smith are what they're supposed to be, then you look, you're still looking for your 3rd round pick to be a player of some sort. So he can be him or Zech McPhearson, we'll get into, can be a swing to determine whether this is a really good draft or a bad draft or somewhere in between. The thing about Zech McPhearson, as we move on to him, that I found really fascinating from an analytics standpoint, and I didn't know this. Adam, I'm going to read you his snaps by alignment in 2019. He played 740 snaps at corner. 20 of them in the slot. Okay. That's not a whole lot.
No, I thought he played way more in the slot. That's interesting.
Well, that was 2019. Okay. 2020, 476 snaps a corner, 144 from the slot. He went from 20 snaps in the slot to 144 in the slot. Now, you and I talk about this all the time. The Eagles are not looking for another slot wide receiver.
No.
This kid has the measurables to be able to play outside. He has some weaknesses that we'll get into, but I'm looking a couple of years down the road. We don't know what the Eagles are going to do as far as number 2 corner. It could be Zech McPhearson. It could be somebody else. It could be that Zech McPhearson is a Sheldon Brown type of player who starts in a year or two as an outside corner, but then moves in, because the analytics tell you his best routes defended were against the quick curls and the digs that you often see on the interior, right? And on the exterior, on the outside, he's not the fastest guy in the world. I think he ran like a 4.6. And eye discipline has been an issue for him in the past. So you do wonder, even though the Eagles have a glut of slot receivers, if eventually Zech McPhearson winds up being the best of the bunch here as a slot receiver.
A slot corner, yeah.
A slot corner, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. The thing is, he's got the versatility. He's very competitive. He's a really smart kid, tested very well, from what I understand. I just, you can't expect a 4th round pick to start year one, but I do know that this is a guy they really like. It's kind of like Maddox, from what I understand, in 18. There's some picks this happens with every team where everybody says this is the guy, like this is the guy. Well, this is the guy for this draft for them, where they really wanted him, and I guess they felt we better take him now, kind of thing. They probably should have taken him earlier,
right?
But anyway, they got him, and he's going to play. It could be quite a bit, because we're not in training camp and they haven't added that veteran corner yet. Again, they may not do it until end of August. Who the hell knows?
Right.
So he could be playing a lot this season, folks. We'll see.
How about this interesting stat? He allowed 3 passing touchdowns all year last year in about 700 snaps. And if you compare that to some other guys, J.C. Horn allowed 3 touchdowns in about 500 snaps. That's why J.C. Horn's a first round pick, obviously. But the fact is, they both allowed the same number of touchdowns. Patrick Surtain allowed 2 touchdowns in 916 snaps. I'm sorry. Yeah. So McPhearson allowed 1 more touchdown, right, than Patrick Surtain, which is, on a sort of similar number. I mean, Patrick Surtain played more snaps, but he obviously compares favorably to some of the better corners in the league as far as just holding his own and not allowing touchdowns in a conference, to be fair, Adam, where they just throw the ball all day long in the Big 12. It's not really known for defensive players. In fact, McPhearson was the first cornerback taken in this year's draft from the Big 12. I think Trey Brown from Oklahoma State was the next one, or Oklahoma.
So here's the pro day numbers for McPhearson: 5'10" and 7/10 of an inch, 191. So he's just under 5'11.
Right.
But he plays bigger. The word is in scouting circles, he plays bigger than his listed size. Don't knock him for his 40 time. He runs way better in a 4.48. That was his best time. Out of 4.52 and 4.48. He runs to like about a 4.4.
Right.
Vertical was phenomenal at 40.5. Really good. Broad jump at 10.10. Short shuttle's 4.03. Hand is just under 9. You like him bigger than that, but you'll live with it. Arm length was average, 30 3/4. He did bench 14. Corners, you typically don't bench much, but he's super competitive.
Right.
Really smart, high character kid. I'd have to find this out. I do wonder if they had a higher grade on him. I'm thinking they did. Well, when I say higher grade, is again, I don't know how, we don't have access to all their grades that were turned in.
Right.
But my sense is because there's a lot of love for him.
Yes.
I'm guessing they had higher grades turned in than a 4.
I would think so too, especially because I remember seeing a lot of pre-draft write-ups on McPhearson being kind of a 5th or in some teams' eyes, or even a 6th. So, look, he had 4 interceptions. I think that kind of goes to show that he's got playmaking ability. Surtain only had 1 interception despite seeing about 200 more defensive snaps. Horn had 2 interceptions. Trey Brown from Oklahoma had 3. So McPhearson, obviously with 4, shows you that he has playmaking ability. Can jump some routes, but sometimes that gets him into trouble. But just in general, I think that his role is yet to be determined. But you like the fact that he's versatile, and he might be able to help you in new outside, inside, in different kind of packages.
Well, let's put it this way: for over time, he'll be no worse than the 4th corner.
Right.
He probably will wind up being a starter at some point in his career over the 4 years of his rookie contract. And I know they feel really good about him. This is a guy that they're expecting to be a factor this season. He has to because of the lack of depth, but even if they sign a veteran, I still think the guy will be no worse than the top backup outside corner. So look, this has a chance to be a good draft pick, and I know they're pretty excited about it.
All right. Again, a big thanks to Zane Gonzalez, our intern from Penn State, for helping put that together for us. And we'll continue to do more analytics work throughout the summer and into training camp, using tapping into Zane's brain, as I like to say. So thanks to him. And that's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Check out our friend Hunter Brody, our producer. His work is on Twitter at Broads81. His website is broadsmedia.com. He's doing some big things on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.